Hiya crafters, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and I have a fun Love Ya card to share with you. Now this is going to have some stenciling and some 3D embossing. Now this is Flower Explosion. This is an older stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. I have the Modern Squares 3D, all to new 3D embossing folder. I have a panel of 120-pound cardstock, my date night, Catherine Pooler inks, and my blending brushes. Now here's a photo of the finished card to show you where we're going with this, but really it's very simple in design. Anyone can do it. So use what you have on hand and you can make this work, or of course check out A Colorful Life Designs, and if you do, use my coupon AmyFan10 and you'll save 10% on your complete order. So this stencil, amongst the thousands of stencils in the shop, I didn't know existed until one of my newer design team members, Deepa, created with this, and it was gorgeous. She does the coolest like shorts, or they're actually Instagram reels. I don't know. She's brilliant. But she got her hands on the stencil, which, like I said, I didn't even know was in the shop, but of course I had to have it. And she did such a gorgeous card with this. So if I don't remember, please tell me in the comments, but I'm going to try and link that video that she made because it's just so cool. You're going to love her. Anyway, she even did some similar cool colors, I think, to this. So she inspired this, but I'm just doing some simple ink blending. I think this is the Cummerbund color, and then I don't know if it was Serenade was the other one that I grabbed, the lighter of the purples from that date night. Anyway, I'm just kind of highlighting that first floral kind of in that lower left with the teal, and then I'm just kind of surrounding it with the purple. Now she didn't do any embossing, I don't believe, so that's where I'm going to kind of kick this up and take it in a different direction than she did, but I'm just doing some very simple ink blending first. And again, I'm working on a panel rather than on a card base like I often do, because I know that I want to emboss it. So I'm just going to move all these very strong magnets out of the way and just kind of fill in the little spots that I missed, and then I will show you this gorgeous design. This is such a cool stencil. Actually, I decided I'm not done. I have some other colors I want to bring in. Oh, that's right. I brought in the darker purple just to really kind of add even more visual interest. So I'm kind of coming in around the corners, and then I think I even put some maybe in the center of the bloom just to kind of kick it up to the next level. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. I don't know. It's been a while. I'm actually doing 8 voiceovers right now, so if I'm starting to get hoarse, that's why. So I batch my videos like I batch my cards, so I could sit down and make like 8 cards and then, wait a few days before I do the video. So that's why I don't always necessarily remember. So it's exciting for me too. I'm watching it with you as you watch this, right? So anyway, it's too bright white, so I'm going to tone it down and kind of come over with just some residual ink and make it so it's not quite as in your face. So if you like that bright white and you like that contrast, go ahead and leave it. Otherwise, if it's a little bit too dramatic, you can just kind of come back in with your blending brush in a light hand and then just tone it down a little bit. So I'm just toggling in between the teal brush and the purple brush just to kind of take it down a notch, and then I will bring in the next step in making the card. Now this is cut down. I believe I cut this panel down slightly smaller than A2 size, so I think I cut it by like 4 inches by 5 1/4. So it's just a 1/4 inch border around, so like an 1/8 inch all the way around it. Now I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. After I pop it in this fabulous 3D embossing folder. You can spritz the back of it. I wouldn't spritz the front unless you want water droplets, because this is a water reactive ink. So I could have maybe amped it up a little bit by spritzing water on the back, but I wasn't too worried about it. I just wanted to add a little bit of texture and visual interest to the design. It didn't have to be too dramatic. So I wanted to make sure you could still see that gorgeous stenciling, but then, when you turn it to the side, then you can really see that cool detail that you get from running it through an embossing folder. And I apologize for my inky fingers. I was having a very fun crafty day batching a bunch of videos, so you can probably see in a lot of my videos that my fingers are quite inky because I just didn't want to stop and try and scrub them. I was having too much fun. I just had to keep creating. So here I'm just using my tape runner and attaching this down. You can see the little small border all the way around the outside perimeter of the card, and I'm just leaving that white because I like the white space on my card. So here I just need to finish the card, so I'm going to shop my sentiment book. This is my storage solution, how I'm able to batch a bunch of cards. I have one of these for my die cuts, I have one for my sentiment strips, and I have one for my critters. So I do a lot of this stuff in steps. If I'm not feeling particularly inspired, I might do, you know, a bunch of die cutting, and that way I can still be in my craft room and around all my crafty goodies, but maybe if I'm not feeling inspired enough to create, then this is a fun way to eventually save me some future time by creating this stuff in advance. So this Love Ya, I believe, is a MFT die cut. If it's still available, I will link it in the video description box below with all the other available products that I used. But it's a cool layered die. You can see it has a shadow layer and the colors matched perfectly. So I'm just flipping through to make sure that that's what I want to use on my card, but as you saw in the photo, that's ultimately what I ended up going with. So I did go a little bit fiddly with this, whereas I normally wouldn't. You'll see when I'm done here flipping through and making sure I can have all my choices. But I do end up taking little thin foam strips that I get from Amazon just to pop this up and give it even more interest. So I think it looks really pretty when you have like kind of a scripty font and it really stands off with dimension. I feel like it really adds something interesting to the card. So if you don't want to mess with little fiddly bits like this, like I often don't, then another option is you could take some fun foam, either adhesive backed or regular, and die cut the shadow layer of your die cut out with that as well. So then you could have popped up even dimension and not have to mess with these little fiddly bits. But every once in a while, I don't mind it. I think it's okay. These little bits, I have to even split that in half, so extra fiddly. But I got it some, you know, all over it, so it has some even, pretty even coverage. It won't get crushed down in the mail. But then I'm just going to remove the little fiddly backers and put this down on the front of the card if I ever get done with this. See, it's too fiddly for me to even watch. I don't know where I had this patience at this moment, because I don't have the patience even watching this right now. Oy, look at that. I had to split that little tiny strip to make it even smaller. Goodness. Anyway, I'm putting down some liquid glue in odd numbers, and I'm going to add some of these iridescent white sequins, just 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and that's going to finish the card. You could absolutely continue the stenciling on the inside of the card if you want to add some continuity, or you could add, you know, something else like a sentiment on the inside of the card, but I like to leave it blank so I have that flexibility in the future when I decide who is going to get this card. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. And if you shop for some stencils, be sure to use my coupon AmyFan10 and save on your complete order. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.